congratulations. Welcome to your brand new Triumph Thruxton R. So the very first thing I always tell everybody is to be cautious of the tires. They are Pirelli, the best rubber you can potentially have on a motorcycle, but it is a brand new tire. You're learning a new motorcycle, acclimating to that machine, as well as having a silicone coating on the tire to pop out of the mold. So ride cautiously for the first 50 to 100 miles. With the amazing Thruxton R, we now have a 17-inch front wheel opposed to the 19-inch they had on the 900 or the 865 series. We have our spoked rim system with a twin disc braking, floating rotors, Brembo monoblock grippers that are excellent power for stopping. We have steel braided brake lines leading up to our Brembo master cylinder that is going to be adjustable with our knob up here. So we can just pull that out and give it a little twist to find our desired friction zone. Our front hydraulic dampening system, or front forks, are adjustable. They are Showa in an inverted fork leg system. We can go over adjustments to set this guy up just for your liking in 600 to 800 miles. Give it some time to get some dexterity in the springs before we take off on it. The new 1200 parallel twin from Triumph is going to be water cooled, and some of the best things that they did with this motorcycle are keeping things concealed. It does have an auxiliary fan, but it's right between your down tubes. The oxygen sensors have been moved right up next to the header, next to the head coming out of the front of the motorcycle, so you can't see any cables or lines. They've kept it extremely clean everywhere, so from a side profile, really the only thing you see are the front brake lines and your starter cable. And other than that, it's extremely clean. We have our traditional triangular shaped engine covers with inspection covers to make it have a more old school classic look to it. We're going to have a very simple and easy to service motorcycle. We're having our oil fill location right here. We actually went to a sight glass on the right side of the motorcycle, and then you've got your oil filter and oil drain on the bottom, recessed into the bottom of the oil pan right here. Our rear set assembly is going to have a brake pedal with a master cylinder below the heel guard here, with steel braided lines going up to our ABS module, which you really can't see, which is another thing I was wanting to highlight earlier about the cleanliness of the motorcycle. With the R model, we have our higher swept pipes with a chain drive for our final drive. The chain is something that needs to be adjusted in maintenance and service. My rule of thumb is about every 500 miles or every 2 tanks of gas or 2.5 tanks of gas. Keep an eye on that thing. I call it my 8-pound snake that can bite you in the butt, bite your engine case and break your engine block, or your buddy in the face if you're not doing proper preventative maintenance to your chain. The R also has the more clean looking swing arm, which I appreciate. We're going to have our Öhlins suspension that is going to have the piggyback reservoirs on the back of it with a progressive rate spring, and that's going to be the ultimate in suspension for your motorcycle. We have LED tail lamps on the back. We have our amber turn signal lenses to keep the classic look of the motorcycle. We have our pillion seat rest right here, or our seat cowl cover, our textured seat with more of the stitching inlay in red around there to highlight it. The tank has its aluminum strip. The fuel filler now, we have a button in the front to access the fuel filler, and then we have a locking element for that. Not a lot to go over on the left hand side except for the fact that we do have a 6-speed transmission, 1 down 5 up, that is a linkage instead of an output shaft, so we have the ability to release those hind joints and find that perfect ride height for the pedal. And the only thing really out of place on the motorcycle is the horn. To keep us 50 state legal, there we have our horn that's hidden behind the left header pipe. We have our bar end mirrors that come factory on the Thruxton R, our polished top triple on this machine. We're going to have in the front your embellishment around the headlight bulb and our twin instrumentation. So we have our speedometer and tachometer. If you keep an eyeball on that while we cue it up, you'll see all your dummy lights coming on for your traction control warning, your ABS light that'll be flashing until we rotate the tires. We're going to have things like our neutral indicators. We have a high beam. We have turn signals. And most of our check engine lights and such and water temperature lights, they're going to disappear once we start the machine, as you experienced on your demo ride. We have our gear indicator top left side of the speedometer. We have our odometer, and you're going to have an information button to be able to scroll through that jazz. So you have your trip 1s and your trip 2s, miles per gallon, average miles per gallon, timepiece, traction control on or off. A hold of that button will turn our traction control off. ABS on or off. A constant hold of that button turns it on or off. And cycling back to our odometer. On the left side, we have our range on tank, our fuel bar, and our mode selection, which is in road right now. We can go to sport mode, rain mode, and back to our road mode with a quick burst of the mode button. Our run cycle switch, you can hear turning on our fuel pump when we cycle that on. Needs to be on and is also integrated into our start, so we have no question on that. We have to turn our run cycle switch on to be able to start the motorcycle. Below that, we have our hazards, and that is primarily your Thruxton R in a nutshell. I'll turn the key back off and see if Truett has any questions for us on the 2016 Triumph Thruxton R.
Pretty clear.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank
High five on that. Woo! It's going to be an amazing adventure on this new machine.